Hi everybody, Matt Bernier here in the Daily Racing Form Studios, joined by DRF's national handicapper Mike Watchmaker, taking a look at this weekend's Weekend Warrior, Saturday, April the 8th. It's a giant day of racing coast to coast, obviously highlighted by 3 Kentucky Derby preps. We're going to go left to right. We're going to start off on the West Coast. The Santa Anita Derby, it's race number 8. It's a grade 1, $1 million the purse. It's a big, bulky field of 13, Mike. And you're going to go with one of the fresher faces of the two, Reach the World.
I am, Matt. You don't have to be a pace wizard to look at this race and see a lot of early speed in it. And the other thing about it is all the early speed seems to be drawn toward the outside. And, some of these horses are going to go in an attempt to save some ground around the first turn. And I just think that ensures a hot pace. And you've got some horses that are questionable going a distance, one of them being the morning line favorite, Iliad. He was second to Mastery in the San Felipe last time out, and Mastery was absolutely the best 3-year-old I've seen so far this year, and I think many people would agree. But Iliad was beaten a long way in that race, and it looked like he was completely out of gas in the late stages of it, and it was his first try around 2 turns. He's still a complete question mark going 2 turns, and while he could rate in the early stages, he still needs to be close, and he's no cinch to like 2 turns. And it just looks like a race that needs to be won from off the pace, and I think that allowance race last month, in which Battle of Midway narrowly beat Reach the World, is going to be key in this spot. And I prefer Reach the World, even though Battle of Midway had a much wider trip and lost more ground that day, because Reach the World, he went wire to wire in his maiden win 2 starts back, and then he was taken well off the pace in that allowance race, and he was caught in between horses. He was in traffic much of the way, and he really finished well once he was clear. And I thought he got a world of education out of that outing, and I think he's going to be a much, much better horse for it.
Some of the bigger names in here, you already alluded to the pace scenario. They're likely to play into that, whether it be American Anthem, Gormley, or Royal Mo. Pace situation aside, can you forgive any one of the 3 for their most recent efforts?
Well, it depends on, how much you like these horses. American Anthem and Gormley, I thought ran tremendous when they were, 2-1. Gormley won the narrow decision in the Sham Stakes early this year. I mean, Gormley showed in that race that he didn't have to have the early lead in order to win. And American Anthem was making only his 2nd career start, and he was stretching out to 2 turns, and it was a strongly run race, quality race horses. I thought it was a tremendous performance, and they both came back in their next starts and absolutely stunk the joint out. I mean, American Anthem was terrible in the Rebel, and Gormley dropped anchor early on the far turn of the San Felipe, and Gormley's become a maddeningly inconsistent racehorse, and I don't know what to make of American Anthem after that. Maybe the Sham was a mirage, and it wasn't as strong as I thought it was.
You were interested in Kim Bear a little bit in the Sunland Park Derby. He scratched from that spot. He's going to run in here. Pace scenario, it'll be interesting to see what we get out of him, stretching out to 2 turns on dirt for the first time. Do you give him a chance in here?
I liked him in the Sunland Derby, and he scratched. This isn't the Sunland Derby. I mean, this might not be the strongest Santa Anita Derby field we've ever seen. I mean, the loss of Mastery really hurts, because this probably would have been a 6-horse Santa Anita Derby field if Mastery was in there, and now it's a 13-horse field. Kim Bear's an interesting horse, but that was a much, much softer spot, the Sunland Park Derby, and this is a much tougher spot. And he's stretching out to 2 turns, and he's shown positional speed sprinting. You have to think he's got to be part of the pace in this race. It's just a much, much different, much tougher spot, and I'm not really fancying Kim Bear in this race.
Grade 1 Santa Anita Derby, race number 8, Saturday afternoon at Santa Anita Park, $1 million purse. And likely the top 2 finishers from this race are going to be locked into the starting gate the first Saturday in May. Mike is going to go with the number 2, Reach the World, for Bob Baffert and Mike Smith. We've heard that team up a couple times in the past recently. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to shift a little bit farther to the east. We're going to take a look at Keeneland, and the 3-year-old fillies are going to go in the Ashland.